The Philippine Hobie Challenge has over the last 12 years developed a reputation for being a fun and challenging sailing event. In fact, it's more than sailing, it's an adventure, and in 2013, 16 teams lined up for the adventure, which started in the capital city, Manila. A welcome party was hosted by the organisers and was an opportunity for the crews and organisers to meet, to get to know each other and of course to suss out the competition. A unique event in Asia, the Philippine Hobie Challenge is organised by the Philippine Inter-Island Sailing Foundation and has promoted the natural wonders of the Philippines for many years.
We've got 7,000 islands, very, very mild and warm seas. Good winds, depending on which time of the year, but more or less about 70% of the year we've got excellent winds to sail in. This is the 13th challenge, so about 13 years ago, 14 odd years ago, a bunch of sailors, Peter Scantlebury from Hong Kong, Mark Haswell from here, actually got together and I think over a wager said, I bet you can't sail a Hobie Cat to Boracay Island from Manila or from close to Manila. So that started, everything. That little seed of an idea got people moving, and they put together, I think, most probably better described as a rally. The first event was a rally from Lucena City to Boracay, sailing on Hobie 16s with one or two safety boats following them, camping on various beaches all along the way. That gave birth to a more structured, more formal regatta, which is 5 challenge legs, more or less between about 50 nautical miles each, sandwiched by 2 inshore series at the beginning and at the end of the event. We've had it now we've had another 12 since then. We've raced all over the archipelago, from further up north in Vigan, in Ilocos, all the way down south, and touched actually the tip of Mindanao, down south in the Philippines, passing along such beautiful beaches, beautiful coves, deserted islands, as well as beautiful resorts such as this, some local mid-scale resorts and high-end resorts as well along the way. It's a mix, it's a nice mix of all these types of locations that gives you a good flavor of what you can get in the country.
The adventure started the day after the welcome party, with a bus trip north to Darwell Beach Resort in Candelaria, Zambales for the official opening party, Hobie setup and briefing, with the start of the Anvaya Cove 13th Philippine Hobie Challenge to be the following morning. The racing took place over 6 days and combined passage races with inshore racing. Starting at Darwell Beach Resort, Leg 1, sponsored by Ryder Sandals, took competitors around Dassault Bay on a 37.5 nautical mile race, which rounded Potipot Island, Hermana Mayor Island, and returned to Darwell Beach Resort. The conditions were expected to be light, but turned out to be good, with steady winds delivering a challenging first day for the sailors. The idea of racing from one tropical destination to another sounds idyllic. And it is, and nowhere does this as well as the Philippines. However, the thought of sailing being a leisurely gentleman's pursuit is soon put to rest when you board a Hobie Cat. The nature of these boats is that they're built for speed, above all else, and can take some getting used to. If that's not enough, some decided to use the Philippine Hobie Challenge as their first ever Hobie sailing experience.
We're monohull sailors, mainly laser, and just learning about the trapeze, about the boat speed that's necessary. That's far more important than a lot of other things. And we've had a lot of downwind sailing, especially yesterday, and we struggled with it, with getting the boat up to speed and getting low enough. Yeah. Our sailing's not really the best part of it for us at this point, but we are improving. We've never sailed a Hobie before the beginning of the week, and it's been a challenge, all right.
When the winds pick up and everything is great, on the trapeze is a wonderful place to be. But sometimes things don't go to plan.
Fell off the back of the boat twice, although I was still attached, so I stayed with the boat, but I was off the back of the boat. We really struggled with going downwind, which was not necessarily notable for us, but certainly notable for those who sailed straight past us. And just sort of understanding how the boat balances. So I think we had a couple of near capsizes.
Day 2 was an Inshore series, sponsored by Hobie Australasia. It took place off Hermana Mayor Island. 3 races made up the Inshore series and tested the sailors in good winds, with conditions being similar to the first day. The strong heat and multiple races took its toll on the sailors, who headed to Hermana Mayor that evening tired but happy. That night, the sailors enjoyed a tented camp on the beach. The nature of the challenge is one of adventure, and over the 6 days, sailors enjoyed everything from 5-star beachfront accommodation to tents on the beach, and at all times, the delicious Philippine cuisine. And without fail, participants could enjoy the stunning sunsets every night. Leg 2, sponsored by Nautica, was the longest of the challenge. After packing up the camp, the support team headed off to the night's venue, while the competitors headed to the start line off Hermana Mayor. The light winds early on resulted in a tow for the participants, while they prepared for what was to be the longest leg of the entire challenge. A 55 nautical mile passage race south down the Zambales coast to San Antonio was the plan for the day, and some were a little hesitant.
This is day 1, never done the Hobie Philippine Challenge before, but we did 21-ish nautical miles today, and that was about enough for us, and we have 50-something coming up.
For many, leg 2 proved to be the most physical of the challenge. 55.7 nautical miles is longer than most keelboat and multi-hull regattas do in a single race. But to undertake that distance on a Hobie requires sailing skill and physical endurance, not to mention concentration. After 4 hours and 23 minutes, Luigi and Yvonne Manzi of Team Mamma Mia crossed the finish line to claim first, beating second place finishers Team Obalu by over 25 minutes. Happy and exhausted, the last 2 teams to finish with an equal time of 5 hours 59 minutes and 13 seconds were Team Cheech and Chong and Team Flying Hawaiians.
We did very well. We came in
very
first.
Well. Everybody's still on the water. We're already here.
We're the only ones who arrived so far.
There's no secret. You just have to be, how do you say, concentrated and relaxed at the same time. We had some part where it was quite hard because there was not much wind and it was a bit choppy. So you had to really find the right, way. Even if you go a little bit out of way, sometimes it's okay, but you have to move the boat. And we moved it on the right side. So we were also lucky we got the wind.
Caponas Vista Resort proved the ideal respite after the longest race so far, and while the competitors relaxed and enjoyed the stunning location and Philippine hospitality, one eye was on tomorrow. Leg 3, sponsored by Mobile One, was scheduled to be another long one, although at 33.1 nautical miles, a relative sprint compared to yesterday's endurance race. Leaving San Antonio, the sailors raced south through the West Philippine Sea to Las Casas Filipinas de Azucar in Bataan Province. Bataan incorporates a mix of environments, with the Bataan Peninsula an extension of the Zambales Mountains, separating Manila Bay from the South China Sea. Bataan would prove to be the most southerly point of the challenge, with the final 2 days of racing heading back north and into the Subic Bay area. Once on shore, the sailors soon realised that Las Casas Filipinas de Azucar is something special. A living museum of Philippine customs and traditions, historical houses and mansions of the noble classes have been restored and brought back to life. These 27 architectural treasures have been carefully and painstakingly reconstructed from different parts of the country and rebuilt brick by brick and plank by plank, showcasing Filipino talent, ingenuity and craftsmanship. Visiting Las Casas Filipinas de Azucar is like a step back in time, a step into the past, reliving the age-old traditions and practices distinct to Filipino culture, without leaving the luxury and comforts of the modern world. The challenge sailors thoroughly enjoyed the history, tradition and culture showcase during their stopover in Bataan. At this year's Philippine Hobie Challenge, family was very much the theme. There were 6 boats competing, sailed by family teams, and on a 2-person Hobie where there's nowhere to hide and teamwork and good communication are essential, this was an area in which the family teams excelled.
She's actually probably sailed longer than I have. She started when she was 6 or 7, whereas I picked it up as an adult. So I've spent probably the last few years following her around while she was opti racing and so forth, so it's really nice to be sailing together at long last.
The father and daughter team of Paul and Alana Symes see their family ties as a positive, with the understanding they have and knowledge of each other being important to their sailing.
I think it actually works really well for us because, I mean, growing up with him, I just know how everything works, and we've sailed quite a lot together in different regattas, and so I guess we just know the lingo that each other speaks, and it just works really well.
The Philippine Hobie Challenge is more than just sailing and adventure. It's a unique event that, since its beginning, has endeavoured to give back to the local communities in which it sails. This is known as the Outreach Program and is an integral part of the annual challenge.
Many years ago, when they would do the oculars for the routes for the challenge, they discovered that there are, communities that are really deprived. It's our way of giving back to these communities because the fisher folks would give us information about the reefs, about the wind conditions in the sea. So it's our way of giving back to the communities of the villages we visit.
The overriding goals of the outreach program is to give back to the local community, and this takes the form of donations, school materials, sports equipment and medical supplies for these often remote villages. Another area in which the outreach program dedicates its efforts is in providing electricity to schools and villages that are without power.
We've been doing outreaches now for about 4 or 5 years, and in our outreaches we concentrate on giving school supplies to the children of needy communities, especially those that don't have electricity, and we are also tied in with trying to promote alternative forms of energy for difficult communities and communities that power lines don't reach, and in this case what we're promoting is solar power.
There were 3 outreach stops during the Philippine Hobie Challenge this year, the first 2 being Kanawan Elementary School in Bataan and San Roque Elementary School in Zambales. Both are underfunded and isolated schools and benefited from the educational outreach provided by the Philippine Hobie Challenge, as well as solar outreach from some of the San Roque Elementary School children who do not have electricity at home. The final outreach this year was in Zambales at the Kawag Resettlement School. This is a resettlement community that was forced to move after the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991. The area is mostly beyond the reach of electric power in the Zambales Mountains, and the children have to walk each day 30 minutes to the school, which is located at the end of the power line. The challenge participants made the trek inland through some difficult terrain to provide school supplies, solar lamps and medicines, as well as umbrellas and ponchos for the school children to use when walking to their school during the rainy season. The outreach program is not only a good idea, it has a direct benefit to the children, families and schools, and also on the sailors who take part each year.
The Hobie Challenge is a very unique regatta where we just don't focus. It's really sailing with a difference.
Heading into the penultimate day of racing, Leg 4, sponsored by Otterbox, was a race back north along the coast, finishing at Anvaya Cove Beach and Nature Club, title sponsor of the Anvaya Cove 13th Philippine Hobie Challenge. For the newcomers, sailing a Hobie by now was becoming second nature, and for the seasoned Hobie sailors, they were tweaking their performance as each day passed. Leg 4 was the last long coastal race and an opportunity for the teams to score points before the final day shootout in Subic Bay. A good start and some close racing saw Andrew Locke and Eric Tomacruz of Team Obaloo victorious on the day and solidify their second place in the series standings going into the final day. The shore welcome was by Anvaya Cove Beach and Nature Club, a stunning beachfront resort comprising 40 luxurious casistas, expansive swimming pools and natural surroundings. Popular with international visitors to the region and known for its idyllic and natural location, the sailors were treated to some decadent luxury for the final 2 nights of the challenge. The final day of racing, sponsored by Aboitiz, was a sprint around Subic Bay. After a much-needed good night's sleep, all crews were excited and raring to go. Good winds and the ever-blue sky proved the backdrop for a great last day, as the crews fought hard for the final points. Looking unbeatable, Luigi and Yvonne Manzi of Team Mamma Mia needed little more than to stay upright to claim the honours. However, the battle was still on for the remaining podium places, and for others, it was one last day of fun in the sun. Where the Philippine Hobie Challenge differs from other sailing events in Asia is in the idea and the sailing grounds. The idea is for an adventure, a beach hopping regatta where competitors enjoy different venues and new experiences each night along the route. And the sailing grounds are simply second to none. Warm waters, tropical sun, stunning scenery and beaches, wonderful shore venues and memorable Philippine hospitality makes the Philippine Hobie Challenge an event unlike any other.
Well, I'm the dad, and this is my elder son Alistair and my youngest son Will.
I think the idea is a fantastic concept. You get to see different places and and experience different people and different landscapes. It's wonderful. We really get to It's a very unique thing. I can't think of anything else like this in the world.
Yeah, we've been overcome by the friendliness of the Hobie family of 4 outsiders coming in, and they've all been really friendly and shared information, helped us rig our boats, and we've even beaten a couple of them across the line. So it's been spectacular. And then the opportunity to support a cause that's providing the outreach program as well, to bring that aspect of it has been really fantastic.
For a family event, I can't see anything better.
Winners of the Anvaya Cove 13th Philippine Hobie Challenge were announced at the final prize giving and beachfront awards night. For such a unique event, the last word is from the sailors.
It's more fun in the Philippines.